Now, Watership Down may have been a fantasy novel about anthropomorphised rabbits, but the tale of what happened when the developers moved in might just be coming true. The land that inspired the story has been earmarked for building, and among those fighting it, the author, Richard Adams. Fatima Manji reports from Sandleford in Berkshire.
Across Britain, many fear the countryside is under threat. The government is changing planning laws, and it could become easier to develop on places like this. The fields and ancient woodlands of Sandleford near Newbury. Here there are plans for 2,000 homes and a country park.
There's something sort of understated about Sandleford. It's not so much stunning as simple in its beauty, yet it's managed to capture the hearts of millions.
Through a tale that began as a bedtime story. The classic children's book Watership Down sees rabbits forced to flee their warren in Sandleford with the arrival of developers.
Warren, earth, roots, grass, all pushed into the earth.
Men have always hated us. They'll never rest until they've spoiled the earth.
Turns out it might not just be a story. The thought of development on the land saddens the author Richard Adams. Now 91, he grew up around Sandleford and still remembers walking through its woods and fields as a boy.
So you just crossed over and you were into open country?
Absolutely, yes. Lovely house too.
In Richard's book, Fiver the Rabbit had a premonition about for sale signs going up.
There was no passer-by to read the sharp, hard letters that cut straight as black knives across its white surface. They said, "This ideally situated estate, comprising 6 acres of excellent building land, is to be developed with high-class modern residences by Such and Martin Limited."
Away from the world of fiction, the pressures are very real. In the current economic climate, every area craves investment. Newbury is no exception. Local businesses complain they can't expand without development.
Whenever you look at an area, you look at things like transport links and local housing, as well as local amenities for the employees that you want to bring in. The quality of employees is obviously critical to any business. So housing is a big factor, and it's certainly been a big factor in possibly putting some businesses off coming to this area if they're uncertain about the future for their expansion.
It's an area where you can come and explore.
Even local campaigners like Peter Norman accept the need for development. They just don't think this is the right site.
2,000 homes in a community which currently has 1,300 homes is just way over the top.
But not all locals are opposed. Simon Kirby also lives in the area. We introduced him to Peter.
Hi, Simon.
You think this development is a good thing?
Yes.
And you think it's a bad thing?
Correct.
How are you going to persuade each other?
Well, Simon, do you want to kick off?
Well, look, I'm a huge tree hugger, and I think that's one of the issues that you have, the environmental impacts and such. I think the country park that we're going to get from the development is going to be fantastic. I also think people need somewhere to live.
People need somewhere to live.
Well, you know, we don't dispute the fact that there is a need for new housing in Newbury, but there are alternative sites. You can build in a more sustainable area. You can build down in the town centre on brownfield sites.
So you haven't persuaded each other?
Not yet, but we'll work on it.
It's not over for Sandleford. Planning permission hasn't been granted yet. West Berkshire Council insists there has to be some building on greenfield sites. One campaigner who seems resigned to that is Richard Adams himself. Once a town and country planner, now he's worried population pressures make it inevitable Britain's countryside will disappear.
What things are going to be like in 100 years from now, I've no idea. But I sadly fear that the entire island might be built up. I hope we can resist it as long as possible.
For now, rabbits still roam Sandleford. But if reality does imitate fiction, their homes may have to give way to make room for man.
Tonight's main news, the Bolton footballer Fabrice Muamba remains in intensive care in a London hospital after his collapse during his side's FA Cup tie. His manager has spoken of his hopes for a happy outcome. We're back tomorrow at 7. Until then, that's Channel 4 News. Have a good evening.